And you've been watching Anzac Day coverage of the dawn service at Villa Bretonneux in France. Hello and welcome to Afternoons. I'm Kim Landers.
And I'm Tony Eastley. The program today dominated by coverage of Anzac Day commemorations.
About 5,000 people have gathered at Anzac Cove in Turkey to commemorate the 99th anniversary of the Gallipoli landing.
The numbers at the dawn service were down on previous years, but there was a strong contingent of Australians. The service featured performances by the New Zealand Navy Band. New Zealanders have also shown they will not forget.
Thousands attended dawn services around the country. One of the biggest gatherings was in Auckland's city centre. A large number also rose early for dawn services in Wellington and Canterbury.
In Papua New Guinea, the dawn service had special significance for World War II veterans, in particular those who fought at Kokoda.
PNG correspondent Liam Cochrane reports.
The Bumana War Cemetery just outside of Port Moresby is the final resting place for 3,351 Australian soldiers. More than 1,000 people gathered here this morning to pay their respects, including the Governor-General and Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, diplomats from Australia, New Zealand and the UK, and representatives of the military and police. The day began in the pre-dawn darkness. In a moving feature of the dawn service, a single Papua New Guinean soldier stood before the lit-up grave of military cross recipients as their tales of heroism were read out. Papua New Guinean Prime Minister Peter O'Neill paid tribute to the fallen.
It is the spirit of friendship that binds us, lest we forget.
Among the public, a group of trekkers from Melbourne just finished the Kokoda track and here to pay their respects.
It's really emotional. It was great to have representatives from Papua New Guinea, Australia and New Zealand.
In Darwin, the military's might was on display. This morning's Anzac Day march included tanks and fighter jets, as Jesse Dorset reports.
The march ended not far from Darwin's RSL and a lot of those people who are marching have piled in here for a game of two-up. You can hear and probably see behind me there's a game going on at the moment. No doubt about it today, Darwin's a military town. The RSL says the city saw one of the largest contingents of defence personnel in the country marching today. There was more than 2,000 Australians out in uniform. They're joined by US Marines who are here in the top end on a 6-month rotation. As part of that huge procession, a convoy of tanks and armoured vehicles, including a couple of Abrams. These are 66-tonne tanks rolling through the CBD. Up above in the sky was Tiger helicopters and FA-18 fighter jets. Later today, the RSL is expecting more servicemen and women and their mates and families to come into this car park. Everyone here today keen for a good time and here to honour the Anzacs.
My fellow Australians, today my message to you is from the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne, a memorial of national significance that immortalises the service of thousands of Australian men and women over many generations. It's been my privilege to be Governor-General for almost a month now. In assuming this role, I intend to shine a light on all that is good about our nation, and in particular, the service and leadership of ordinary Australians doing extraordinary things in communities right across our country. On Anzac Day, we honour the service and leadership of a distinct group of people of all ages and faiths and backgrounds, those Australian men and women in uniform, who for more than a century have dedicated themselves to protecting our nation, our values and our way of life. This year we mark 100 years since the start of Australia's first great national trial, the First World War, and together we begin a special journey of remembrance as a nation. In marking the Anzac centenary over the next 4 years, thousands of Australians will travel overseas, as they often do, in ever greater numbers. But this time, they journey with special purpose, to congregate where Australians fought and died, perhaps on the barren, rocky shores of the Gallipoli Peninsula, or in the fields of France, where blankets of glorious red poppies have replaced muddy trenches. Here at home, Australians will also gather in cities and towns, big and small, to honour those heroes whose names are etched on a myriad of cenotaphs across our country. The Anzac centenary will be an opportunity to contemplate, to reflect, to understand and to reaffirm the values demonstrated a century ago. Our Anzac values of courage and mateship, selflessness and dedication, still vital to our way of life nowadays. They are, of course, fundamental Australian values. I'm immensely proud of how this Anzac spirit lives on in the hearts and minds and actions of Australians today. It's evidenced through the stamina and the courage and good humour of Australians when the chips are down, our determination to ensure a fair go for all, and our sense of community and selflessness when we see others in need. We will bend our backs and empty our pockets to help others in trouble. This is important because I think the very best way we can honour our fallen on Anzac Day and every day is to ensure that we live by the values they demonstrated in their final moments. Anzac Day belongs to us all, Australians of all ages and backgrounds, those born here and those born elsewhere but who now call Australia home. Wherever you are today, at a commemoration, at home, at work, or even having a game of footy or beach cricket, as diggers have done themselves in many foreign lands, take a moment to pause and reflect. Let us remember that the Australia we are today, we owe to those who have gone before us, and not least to the service and leadership of countless military men and women. Lest we forget.